All right, guys. So former NBA superstar legend Shaquille O'Neal, Shaq, went viral last night in conservative circles after a clip surfaced of him having a conversation / debate with one of his co-hosts on his podcast, the Big Podcast, about vaccine mandates. Now, Shaq in the past has been critical of Kyrie Irving for not taking the vaccine and not complying with New York City's vaccine mandate so that, Kyrie could play in home games. However, in this recent podcast, it seems that Shaq has had a change of heart in regards to how he feels about the vaccine mandate. Take a look.
Did you hear about this? It was in it's on NBC News, right? Mm-hmm. Nurses got paid in the COVID scam. 2 nurses got paid $15 million.
No, 1.5.
1.5 million. Yeah.
Is it 1.5?
Yeah, 1.5.
Yeah, 1.5.
I got the wrong information. This right here? Oh, yeah, 1.5. That's my bad. That is my bad. I'm sorry, guys.
It's
you guys
all right,
are right.
Spicy.
So maybe you did
talk
hear
your
about
talk.
it.
Mm-hmm.
So the headline actually reads, before I was so rudely interrupted by the correct number, 2 New York nurses made $1.5 million in fake vaccine card scheme. So apparently, both of them are getting charged with second-degree forgery. And law enforcement officers seized $900,000 straight cash out of one of their houses. $900,000 straight cash.
Don't send them to jail.
You said don't send them to jail?
No.
What should they do then?
What should they do?
Okay, I'm gonna probably get in trouble for this.
Probably.
But let's just say, Michelle, you're a sound guy at ET.
Mm-hmm.
Been working there 10 years. That's all you know. You don't bother nobody. You come do your work every day.
Mm-hmm.
You go to work. Then when you go home, you have your beliefs. Let's just say ET puts out a new policy. You don't get the vaccination, you lose your job. Let me finish before you interrupt, because I'm not
I didn't say
interrupt.
nothing.
The sound guy that's been working there for 15 years now has a decision to make.
Mm-hmm.
I don't want to go against my morals. I can't. I don't want to do it, blah, 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 blah. So this is where the scam lady comes in. Like, I want to just give these people what they want so I can keep my job and keep my livelihood. So it's not like I'm going to disrespect the person that does like that. Because again, look, I encourage everybody to be safe and take care of your family. I do. But there's still some people that don't want to take it. And you shouldn't have to be forced to take something that you don't want. So
I don't think people are being forced to take. Well, there are some. Listen, we have a mandate at CBS.
That's force.
We have a mandate at CBS. But my point.
That's force.
But where I wholeheartedly.
That's force.
No, it's not force.
It is force, because if the man don't take it, the man gonna get fired. The man been working there 20 years. The man can't get no other job.
Right. But where I wholeheartedly disagree with you on this issue is you're not just affecting yourself. You're putting the public at risk, and it's a public health issue. So because you don't believe in it, you work for a private company, bro. We're a capitalist society. It's a free market society. If you don't want to follow that company's policy, then you follow yourself on out the door. It's as simple as that. We're a free market society.
I'm with you on the rules.
You don't work for public schools. You don't work for waterworks. You work for a private company. So if you don't like it, be out.
Rules, because I'm a rules guy. But
exactly.
But I do feel sympathetic towards people that have to make that.
Not when you're putting other people at risk. Not when you're putting.
All right. Well, what if you get sick and stay home? What if you got the home test and you catch it early and then you stay home?
Okay, well then stay at home. But my point is, don't walk around with a fake vaccination card, acting like you following the rules and acting like you doing this and that, and you out here putting people at risk. Not cool.
Yeah, so I wonder, is mainstream liberal media, are they going to categorize Shaq as an anti-vaxxer, right? Because he came out here and said that he's against mandates, okay? He didn't think that it was right to force people to participate in a medical procedure against their beliefs. Okay, because that's what they define an anti-vaxxer is. Even despite the fact that, Shaq also said that, hey, I encourage everybody to take the vaccine. But apparently in 2022, that's not good enough, right? That's not good enough. Even if you encourage people to get it, right, and you promote it, if you're not for forcing it on people, then you're an anti-vaxxer, which I think that is honestly most people's position on this issue, right? If you look across the whole political spectrum, I don't think that the extremes on both ends of the political spectrum are really where people are at. I think what most people are at is that, hey, you know, we recommend that you get it, but I'm not trying to force you to do something that you don't necessarily want to do, right? So I think what Shaq is saying is what a lot of people probably believe themselves, okay? Now, most of what Shaq said in this clip, I agree with, except the part about fake vaccination cards, right? You shouldn't be forging documents, right? You should not be forging medical documents, okay? That's a no-no, right? And the women that did that, they should be punished, okay? Even though they made a whole lot of money doing it, yeah, they should be punished. Should they be put in jail? I think that's debatable, but at the very least, they should be fined very, very, very heavily for doing that. Now, the part of the conversation that actually went viral that a lot of people paid attention to was the part about whether or not a company requiring a employee to get vaccinated is force, right? In my opinion, I think that Shaq is 100% right. When a company requires somebody to take a vaccine, that is force, because force can involve coercion, right? And coercion involves the use of force or threats, right? So when a company tells you that, hey, unless you take this vaccine, you're going to be fired, then in my opinion, then by definition, in my opinion, that is force, right? That's 100% force. So that is what's happening, right? You have companies out here that are forcing people to do this by telling them that, hey, if you don't do this, then you're going to lose your livelihood. Okay, even if you've been working here for 20, 30, 40, 50 years, you've put your blood, sweat, and tears into this company, right, into this business. But yet, just because, you know, you don't want to get this medical procedure, you got to throw all that away, right? You can't feed your family anymore, right? It's between you going against whatever beliefs that you have or feeding your family, right? And I think that is a terrible, terrible, terrible position to put people in. It really is. And I think something that really bothers me is how dismissive people are over that decision-making process, right? Like this lady right here, whose name is Nichelle Turner, the co-host of this podcast, she's 100% dismissive over it, right? She's like, well, you know, I don't really care because this is a public health issue. You know, you're putting me at risk by, you know, not getting vaccinated. You're putting everybody else at risk. So therefore, you know, I don't really care about your personal beliefs, right? I don't really care about, you know, you being forced or coerced into, you know, participating in this, right? And then she goes on to make an argument about, you know, private companies can require you to do anything. And I'm like, no, that's not necessarily how it works. A private company can't require you to do anything. Like, for example, they can't require you to, let's say, I don't know, kill a family member, right? They say, hey, you got to kill a family member in order to work for us, right? If you don't do that, then you're fired, right? I don't think that's necessarily something they can ask their employees to do. Now, obviously, that's not the same thing as asking people to get vaccinated. I think that businesses, I'm pretty sure legally that they can ask you to do that, just from a legal perspective. I'm not saying I agree with it. I'm just saying legally they can, but it's not something I think that people should be encouraging companies to mandate, right? I think there's a difference. Don't get me wrong. I believe in private companies and their freedom to conduct business operations the way they should and to protect their employees. But there are plenty of ways to do that, right? There are plenty of ways to do that. You know, they can provide the N95 mask, right? They can, you know, require social distancing. They can put in certain policies in place that don't necessarily require a medical procedure in order to help try to mitigate some risk, okay? There's multiple things that companies can do. Companies have had people working from home, right? There's all types of things that companies can do. But I think this idea that just because you're unvaccinated, that you're some type of, I don't know, threat to society or whatever, I think it's kind of misguided considering what we know about the vaccine, right? The benefits that we know about the vaccine and what the vaccine does and doesn't do. So with that being said, I just don't think it's right to discriminate against a whole group of people just based off their vaccination status. I think that's crazy, especially considering, you know, the times that we're in, you know, how recent a whole lot of this stuff has been. I think that a lot of people who are so gun-ho about using force and mandates to make people get the vaccine are being dismissive of the decision-making process for those who, you know, still haven't taken it or have, you know, whatever reasons for not taking it. Okay? I mean, because there's a lot of people out there that are pro-vaccine, right? They're like, I take all my vaccines, okay? Or they might get the flu shot or whatever, but they may just say, hey, you know what? For this one right here, you know, this one hasn't really been out all that long, right? I'm still in wait and see mode, okay? People have their reasons. And I think that as a society, we should respect those reasons, okay? I have no problem with people coming out here and saying, hey, you know, I recommend it, or, you know, you should, you know, take it or whatever. But I think the dangerous part, and I think that's what a lot of people are kind of against here, even the people that are pro-vaccination, is the use of force, right? Is the mandates. Because if we're promoting this type of mandates and we're giving this type of power to these private companies, to the federal government, then essentially they can do that with anything, right? How far is this going to go, right? How far is this going to go? Because once you give up this power, you don't get it back, right? You do not get it back. It becomes the norm for the government to start saying, hey, whatever we tell you to put in your body, you got to do it, right? You got to do it. Company says, hey, whatever we tell you to put in your body, you got to do it, right? And if you don't, then, hey, you know, you lose the ability to feed your family, right? You get ostracized from society. You can't participate in society. That's a very, very, very scary route to go down. And I think a lot of people aren't thoroughly thinking through the ramifications and the consequences of promoting these types of policies. But let me know what you guys think. Make sure you like, comment, and subscribe. Most importantly, share a Black conservative perspective. Peace.